Business Council, what we do is the voice of American businesses in Nigeria. We are the American Chamber of Commerce affiliated to the U.S. Chamber in D.C. We have close to 100 companies that are members of the council, and we work closely with the U.S. government to drive trade and investment opportunities between the two countries and in the interest of member companies. But also we are very intentional in building structures around organizations that are members of the council as well. And one category that we set up that was last year was what we call the associate category. We realized that I think they said is it 1/3 or 3/4 of startups in Nigeria have some level of affiliation to the US, maybe have registration in the US as well and all. So we realized that this is a category we need to, in a sense, nurture and see how we can ramp up the opportunities they should have. And that's where this whole idea of the partnership started. So this right now we have close to 10 members or even more than 10 members that are members of that associate category. Well, in the course of the work that we do, we realize that projects like this, being able to intentionally look at how to drive revenues apart from just waiting to get funding into some especially when obviously we know that funding from outside is fast dwindling, right? So we need to look at innovative ways of accelerating revenue, and that's why we're here. So thank you so much.
Okay, I don't want us to feel constrained because I feel the hand clap wasn't enough, so yeah.
My name is Joy Lawal, and I'm with the American Business Council.
Thank you. Stacy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stacy Ketiku. I'm Programs Manager at B4B Partners.
Okay, so I think that's a great segue. My name is Napa Onwosa. Napa, not NEPA. It's a very important distinction. When I was coming in, they were telling me, what's your name, Napa? And they were checking the list. I said, I'm one of one. No, nobody else has this name. So Stacy, I think, did a good thing by introducing herself. Let me just share what we do at B4B Partners. Okay, but welcome. B4B Partners is the company that ABC decided to partner with to support in the logistics management of this excellent initiative that they are driving for startups doing revenue. And what we do in B4B Partners is we are all about empowering individuals and businesses. We focus on revenue. So we build high-performing sales teams, we do training, we do consulting, we set up playbooks, all those kind of things. And we're very action-oriented. So sometimes, I don't know how many of us are in actual sales here. Anybody? Yeah? I don't know, when you go for sales trainings, they'll give you tools, they'll give you frameworks, then they will say, sell with courage. Or we don't do that here. We don't do that here. And the reason is because I have spent 25 years of my career in sales. I've worked in Turkey. I worked in Google. I was head of sales for Sub-Saharan Africa out of Dublin. I've worked in Microsoft, Cisco, SAP, Visa, Nokia, etc., and so forth. As we partner with forward-thinking organizations like American Business Council that really wants to let us see revenue as capital. And if us startups can start thinking that way, it's very important. Revenue is your primary source of capital. There is a funding winter, but we know people are still raising, right? People are still going into the market and VCs are still funding. But now, more and more, we're seeing VCs are funding based on traction. And have you noticed how they're defining traction now? They're defining it as revenue. So I'm a venture partner at Better Ventures. It's a venture studio, not a venture studio, it's a VC fund based out of New York and Lagos. And I help portfolio companies with their go-to-market strategies. So I was always brought in when capital had been deployed, right? But nowadays, I'm being brought in at the beginning when they're considering the investment, because traction is now seen as how many customers are actually using your product. And we're going to talk about it in PMF when we talk about product market fit. And then we have Revenue Labs, which is a one-day workshop where we actually talk about some key topics around revenue. We did the last one with AWS actually beginning of this year. All right, so let's get to know each other. If we could go around the room, your name, your role, the business, because startup names are a lot. As you say the company name, just tell us a little bit about what the company does. That would be amazing. And then if you are open to sharing, maybe one challenge that your business is currently, no pressure, if you're open to it, it's fine.
My name is John Gloria, and I am...
John.
Yes.
Gloria.
John.
Is John the first name?
My name is Gloria John.
Oh, no, but it's so cute the way you did it. John Gloria. It's nice.
Thank you. I am Finance and Accounts Officer at Better Power Solutions Limited.
Better Power Solar.
Better Power Solutions Limited is the name of the company.
Yeah, what does the company do?
Solar
Solutions.
Solar Solutions.
Correct.
Yes, thank
Okay. Sorry? Yeah. Is it that you're not comfortable? Oh, she will.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Adeleke Omomi. Okay, my role in Better Power, I'm actually the telesales executive assistant, and company name Better Power Solution Limited. We're into solar innovative system. We render services to our clients, businesses, organizations. That's solar energy. That's what we do to our services. Yeah, we render services to our clients, mini grid, off grid. That's what we do. Okay, I think a major challenge, as for me personally in my role, major challenge I actually have, I think most times if I talk to my clients, that's my leads, if I talk to them, and after doing a follow-up with them, I notice that some of them are actually there to just ask for the prices. And afterwards, they will just go and do window shopping. And at the end of the day, they will come back telling me that, oh, your prices are a bit higher than what they were expecting. So that's like the major challenge I have.
Interesting. So today we're going to talk about pricing strategy. We're also going to talk about unique value proposition. I didn't get it from your introduction, so we can refine it a bit today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Okemute Onojapor. My friends call me Mute. My English name is God's Time. Can't say any of the first.
Where are you from?
I'm from Delta State.
The name is giving, man.
It's not a very popular name, but
it's popping. Well done.
So I'm the business development manager for my company, Request Mechanic. The company name is Request Mechanic, simply to request a mechanic. Our biggest challenge now is just growing revenue. So we're about to start a sales team. I used to be a sales manager, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I saw this registration, this program, as a beautiful coincidence. There's a marketing expert called Clotaire Rapaille. This is a French guy. He doesn't believe in coincidences. So
neither do I, actually. I believe in God incidences, but that's based on my faith. Very interesting, right? That you're saying growing revenue. So I'm assuming that that you understand the whole value chain for your business, right? And the mechanics, educating the mechanics, is that not your biggest challenge now? Are you able to get qualified, verified?
Yeah, the biggest challenge has been misappropriation of capital. Yeah, we've just wasted money. So
so the runway is no worries. We'll work through it. But we don't cover sales hiring during this, but would love if you're having some thoughts around that. You've been a sales manager, so I'm assuming you've hired before. If there's some areas we can talk over coffee or lunch. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Olakwa Yeni, and I'm the lead growth marketing for Fleet Pulse Africa. I'm smiling because we're actually this. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Fit
what?
Solution to his problem. Fleet Pulse.
Fleet Pulse. What does
Africa.
Fleet Pulse do?
Okay, so we optimize vehicle, manage fleets, And we do GPS tracking,
Interesting.
including, helping him to hire mechanics, train them.
Very good. And then the GPS tracking is not just for cars, right? It's for human beings as well.
Cars,
No?
cars.
No, I'm sorry I put it that way. I didn't have enough time. How do you put it? Are you able to, I don't know, all your assets,
my-
including
My
human
direct
assets?
boss is here.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Adi Emaditola, and we're here representing Fleet Pulse Africa. At Fleet Pulse Africa, our long-term goal is to build big data, machine learning, AI capabilities for optimal fleet operation and predictive, preventive, and corrective maintenance.
No, the UVP, on point. On point.
Thank you.
Like you called out the problem. That's the biggest thing with a unique value proposition is you call out the problem and then you speak the solution immediately. Yeah.
Thank you. But now we're in the market right now just so that we've not started building the solution because we found out that the business in itself is not a technology first business.
Thank you.
So we have started testing the waters to, we have a couple of clients right now that we are doing fleet maintenance management for in the real sense of fix my vehicle, give me optimized vehicle time and all of that. Then by so doing, building that customer base, then all of the challenges that we're seeing, we are now going to build a technology platform to harness all of the power of the data that we're looking to use to, build the solution for these fleet operators.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here.
I wish I could like what you said twice.
Okay, thank you. But then a major challenge right now, one, sales, really. It's been quite challenging because most of the fleet operators that we started talking to in recent times, because of the, what's it called now, fluctuation in the macroeconomics indices that we have, inflation has really gone up and a whole lot of people are trying to manage cost, but then that in itself is a major challenge because the cost that you're trying to save, you end up spending it multiple times because you're not getting adequate maintenance for your vehicles and all of that, because some of these guys that you're bringing on board to come and work on your vehicles are not the professionals that you can really hold when the push comes to shove in terms of responsibilities and reliability for your fleet engagement. So that has been a major challenge because everybody is just trying to, instead of me having a annual fleet maintenance contract with a company that that you can get that reliability for. But it's just now, let's just fix it now. But then when you look at the repetitiveness of you fixing it now over time, you're going to end up spending more and you're not getting the best of service for your operation. So that's one of the major challenges. And two, finances has always been a major financing some of our projects has always been a major pain. And one of the things we've done in recent time, last week I was in a meeting with one of the potential finance houses, and they're really looking at partnering with us so that when we onboard some of these big B2B fleet operators, they are able to look into the viability of the project in itself to say, okay, because these guys are going to be giving you like 50 to 100 trucks for you to manage in terms of maintenance for them. And this will require you to have like a runway for that particular customer alone on month-on-month basis, maybe about 30 million naira. So they're coming in to just support us and, to fix all of those issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So on the first point, I think once we get to ICP, because even though the economy is the way it is, there are people that are spending money. So we need to find them. And then the second point, I don't know who else in the room is looking for funding, but there's a collective I know that's looking for deal flow. So maybe at the end of today, we can share the link and you can apply for capital. But what you are saying in your second point speaks more to business strategy. And then how we place the funding, the capital needed to execute projects through partnerships. So we can think it through. Maybe over lunch we can do that.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ama. I'm the head of engineering at ROM Africa. ROM Africa is a real estate company of sorts. The problem was in the Nigerian real estate market, there are untrusted, unverified listings. So we created a platform. Essentially, we created Airbnb for Africa. We also run a
No, wait, so come back. You say you've created Airbnb for Africa. What does that mean?
So we have our mobile applications on the
Yeah.
app stores, and people who need to book a short leg can go to the applications, and
What is the differentiator between you and Airbnb?
there is no difference in that aspect. That's just one of our verticals.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can go deep there, honestly, because if you're building for Africa, instead of trying to follow the Airbnb model, there are things that are for our market that are uniquely different. We have our small boutique hotels that don't really feature on Airbnb, and they're not hotel. What's the name of that hotel? Travel something that you come, you don't find them. So yeah, it's interesting. Let's look for revenue streams there. We can find
Media and communication at the school of the Pan Atlantic University. One of the things we looked at was building a brand, and one of the groups came up with a concept of Airbnb coming from the challenge that maybe youth coppers face when they just finish and then they're looking for places to stay and they're not able. I hear that. I don't know I hope it's not the same, because I hear that one of the team members took that project and implemented it well after school, and he's kind of doing well. Yeah, but you may want to.
Yeah, I was actually thinking there was this guy that went and built short-term housing under the bridge, and he was charging 200. You heard the story. Thank you. You know, when I taught in LBS on this particular topic, and they were so offended. They said he had committed a crime. I said, you're not getting it. He found product market fit. So if you do licensing on top, you're okay. And they were like, no, but it's wrong. I said, you've missed the boat. That means there's a need, because he was fully booked. Let me tell you the story. So he built shanties under the bridge, and then people that didn't live on the island would come on Monday, and then they would stay in their shanty Monday to Friday, and they paid 200K a month. And the place didn't have a kitchen, didn't have a bathroom, but he was always fully booked. Anyway, it was a segue. It was a segue, and I apologize, but it's just an interesting. What other products do you guys do?
We also run a kind of investment program.
Okay.
Essentially, what we did is there are people that have money, but don't have where to invest it. So what we did was we launched apartments in certain regions with more traffic, more flow of people, more tourist attractions, and we brought people together to invest on this. So we're leveraging the success of existing Airbnb hosts, because they have a platform that people trust where people want to book with them. But the problem is they have 2 properties. They're trying to get to 3 properties, trying to get to 4 properties, but they can't cover the furnishing of these properties. So they cover the renting of the properties while we gather people who would cover the furnishing, essentially buying a slot in these investments.
It's the Dubai model. Dubai does that a lot. I hope you've looked at the Dubai model. Please look at it, because there's some gaps in the model.
I'm strictly in engineering, but I'll look into
No, you must talk today, even if you're in engineering. Everybody in this room is going to have a conversation, because something valuable you can bring from engineering is definitely product, for us to be able to look at how products are built. Go for it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Oreoluwa Magwagbiola. I'm the chief of your best man sister. I'm the chief of staff at Truck. Truck is a fintech logistics company, basically a middleman between businesses and customers. We don't have drivers. We don't have trucks of our own, but we have a platform where truck owners and businesses can sign up, and we are like a connecting to be here.
If I'm a business and I want to deliver maybe on a contract with rice, maybe bags, or I can come to Truck and then hire a truck. Okay. So QA is strong. Quality assurance for sure. Yes. Yeah. And then verification, KYC.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Very strong. How is traction going? Or what's the number one challenge?
To speak.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Abiodun Akimbodu. I am currently the finance associate, However, I was first in sales, then I moved to.
Did you move or did you run? Which one?
Well, I saw a problem in the company, and I think I
Okay.
had the capacity to.
It was a joke.
Yeah, but really, I saw a problem in the company, and I reached out that, I have the capacity to solve this problem, and yeah, I was given the shot. All right, so one of the biggest challenge in truck art now is demand. Amongst many, anyways, is demand. That's getting trucks from 30 tons, 40 tons, because the owners of these trucks are scarce. Like, you don't get to see them. They're in their room, and you don't get to hear from them. They're probably the only people you get to hear from is the managers of these
And
or
they're
the
not
third
empowered.
party, and they're not exactly. So, so one of the biggest challenge is fleet. The contact of the real truck. Actually, yes, exactly. And another challenge amongst
It
many.
is supply, if that is the product. Because that is the product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So supply of the product, but the demand is not the problem. Like people.
No, of course, we always have demand.
Demand.
But
Okay.
I mean, the supply to power that demand.
100%.
Yeah. So another one is let me. The reason why I said finance is in two sides. So internally we have mismanagement of finance. Capital.
Seems
the
to be a
word.
thing.
And when you mismanage that, when it is time to give the drivers what they need, or the partners what they need, because we get to pay the drivers, or the partners rather, before we receive payment. So such that
Before we receive payment.
yes, before we receive.
You don't do escrow.
No.
Why now?
No, I mean, it's two-sided. So yes, we do escrow to individual, but when it comes to business, we pay before the business pays us.
And you're happy with it? Okay.
Not totally, but I mean, that's the
know.
only thing we can do to stay in the game right now.
Well, okay, number one, in terms of finding those people, there is a very different strategy you use for finding high net worth individuals. It's a completely different strategy, and we can discuss it. No wala. Right. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm very, very concerned about this business model, because what you're doing is you're training your customers to expect this. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. We all know in startups, the way you start training your customers and educating them, when you now want to pivot, especially when it comes to payments, it now becomes a resistance. And if you've been successful in markets, that means there's competition. They will see what you're doing and they'll replicate. I don't know how this is different from these guys that raised 100 million. No. They did insights, the value chain of trucking. Trade depot. Yeah, because there's an element of their business that's this. It's a really big piece of our value chain. But we can go deeper into it, maybe over coffee, over lunch. But HNI is different.
Yeah, Trade Depot was one of our business partners before they.
Well, what happened?
I think they got their own fleet of cars, so they got their fleets, and we lost that business.
Oh, no.
All right, so yeah, that's it. And then we have internal mismanagement of funds. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Abasadi Janet Babasunde, Operation Manager, Better Power Solutions. It's about sales, driving lead and talking to them, keeping them, trying to engage with them.
Who has attended an accelerator before? How was the experience for you?
It's one with many experiences. So because you have multiple moving parts for some of these accelerator programs. For some of them, it's all-encompassing. For some, they are just coming to teach you book knowledge, not really the practicality of what you are really facing within your space. But one that I know that I really enjoyed was our time with Founders Institute. It was really intense, and it kind of built our capacity through that journey, because one thing that was evident was at the time we started the program, at the beginning of COVID, we saw a full transformation in our unique value proposition, and how we have been able to develop our pitch deck to refine it entirely. That's one big thing that I know, that if you go into Founders Institute, by the time you are leaving, by the time you are graduating, apart from the pressure of daily, weekly deliverables that you need, weekly deliverables that you are expected to turn in, your unique value proposition and the way your deck would have been refined will be something different. So that's the experience with that.
What is one thing you like about your customers? For those of us that have a number, what is one thing you could change about them? It's a safe space.
So one thing I like about our customer is they are willing to give you money up front for the project, whatever. So no, not 100% sometimes, but at least down payment between 50 to 80%. And that has actually helped us a lot, because getting into the business in itself, I didn't have one naira I was going to use to fund anybody's project. But then I was able to get customers that were willing to say, okay, if you are able to do this for us, don't worry. At every point in time when you've done the assessment of the vehicles, give us a quotation invoice. We negotiate it. Once that is done, we are able to pay you 80% upfront, and that actually was what gave us the first step in the market, in the doorway, to start testing the markets with everything that we do. So if there's one thing I would like to change, it would be that they should give us more business. So
after they do one, they don't come back, or?
So because not that they don't come back now, because most of them already have a way they are solving their problems before now, and we are trying to get them to say, see, we don't just want to fix one vehicle for you per time. We want to lock them down with the annual fleet maintenance contract. So instead of giving us one, we are coming to you to say, give us a fleet of 10 vehicles per time, and we maintain those vehicles for you for 1 year. Then we renew every year, as the case may be. So that's it.
But you haven't gotten one person that has accepted?
No, we have.
We have. Oh, you want more of that?
Yeah, I want more of that.
Okay.
So that's it.
All right. So how are you doing the upsell not upsell? How are you doing that sell with is it through case studies or references?
So most of the time it's references, and because leveraging on my network and experience within the supply chain and logistics industry in itself. So, and that's what has helped, because I know a couple of people that we work together in time past, and they are in one organization that have some of these problems or the other. So I just use that to get, okay, what can we do in terms of value? Not just because you know me now. What are the problems that you're facing with you're managing your fleet? So that's it.
Did you want to go? Yes.
One thing I like about my customers, they gave feedback. They were very open to give feedback. They also gave us a chance on startup business. Those are the things right now. So I want to generate more customers to have more answers.
More customers. Yeah, we actually need to move away from founder-led sales. If you're getting to the point where there are lots of leads, and then we have to use the fact that customers are giving you feedback. Customer feedback is a very good sign of product market fit, actually, because it means that they want to engage with you. They want the product to be better because they enjoy using the product, right? Yeah. Sorry. Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah, and what's one thing you wish you could change about them? They've been good so far. I wish they could be more responsive. That's at least for one of them. And then I wish they could pay on time.
All right, thank you. So our customers are in twofold. We have the supply and we have the demand. The demands are the drive. So the first thing I like about our customers is that they keep us in business. They give us the money. I mean, it's a very good thing.
The smile.
All right. So for the demand partners, that's the businesses that ask us for fleets of vehicles. One thing I like about them is the loyalty. They are loyal. They
you know what your retention rate is?
No,
Okay,
not
it's
now.
good to look at it because
Okay.
if you have a sticky business, that's a good business.
Yeah, so they're loyal. So if they are in business with you, they're in business with you.
Nice.
Yes. There's no back and forth. For the supply partners, that's the drivers, the owners of vehicles. One thing I like about them is that I think they are loyal too, but at some point they can be quite
Not
disturbing. Yes, it can be quite disturbing. They want more money every time. So, so that's one of the challenge. Yes, they always
Is it a
want.
challenge or is it an opportunity?
Well,
let's think about it too. If they want more money, we can position more services to them that help them make more money. Can we not?
Yes.
I mean, let's discuss it too, because I don't know your deep business. You may be looking at me and say this one does
No,
not
I
know
mean
what
that's.
But always when a customer is saying I want to make more money, and it's an existing customer, it's an opportunity to step into their business. This additional fund, this amount of money, would you consider it? We can discuss it. Yeah.
All right. So for the demand side, like you said, I wish we could have them pay. That's the businesses pay on time, because that's what constrains our business at its way. And for this the drivers aspect, what you said is actually the solution to our problem, the challenges that we have. They want more money.
Yes. So we show them more money. Like this guy did, Jamie Maguire. This movie, give me the money, show me the money. We show them more. Where somebody says there's a challenge, we need to have that mindset of opportunity. So when they say more money, we need to interview some of them. Where is it? Do they want double the cash, or is it pressure from home? Is there, like, let's think through how to solve their problem, right? And then see whether we can generate more cash. But this paying on time, is it, who else has that problem with customers? Paying on time? No, some people don't. He said 80% down payment. So paying on time is not a challenge for you. Paying on is not for some people. Stacey, if we can note it down, strategies for recovery, financial invoice payments, because we're planning to do something around that. Okay, all of us have heard about product market fit, innit? Yeah? No, why are you smiling? Is it like the thing? In it. Oh, no. Let me say it so you can understand. In it. In it. You know, when somebody goes to the UK from Nigeria, has been there for 24 hours, he'll call you and say, have you landed? Yes, I've landed. In it. But we've all heard about product market fit. No, if you haven't, it's fine. Let's talk about it here. Yeah? Sort of, kind of. Okay, who can define product market fit in their own understanding? There are like 15 S's in his name. It's like when customers are taking more than what you can provide, right? Do we all agree with that? Does anybody have a different view of what product market fit is, right? And strangely enough, you should mention it. I'll show his quote. But generally, just so we are clear, this is the ideal product market fit journey you should take as a founder, as a startup. You start with understanding the market, researching the market. And when I talk about research here, they'll talk local needs, culture, economy. I always add, if you're going into a market where people have failed before, you have to understand why they failed. There was a time we got a lot of startups wanting funding for logistics. They were always building logistics platforms. And when they're doing their pitch, they'll come and say, we're going to solve the logistics problem in Nigeria, then scale to Africa. I'll be like, hey, that these ones, have they really researched the real problem of logistics in Nigeria? And most times when you go deep, they have not. So you have to look at your competition that is alive. Why are they alive? Their strengths, weaknesses, and gaps. What you said about pricing, you said that they will use you for pricing and go outside and find it cheaper. You should have your competitive analysis. What is your competition offering when you're in negotiation with your customer? So when you know that you always lose to a competitor at this price, and either add additional value that they can't see, or they won't know. So you do it ahead of time. We'll talk about it in sales, objection handling and all of that, right? You must have a clear buyer persona. It seems everybody in this room knows who their customers are. A lot of times you'll find people that maybe they're excited about what Tosin did in Money Point. Forgetting Tosin has been doing that for 9 years. And they'll come and say, I'm going to build the next unicorn. They'll say, what are you building? I'm building Uber, but for Suya. Yes, now. Do you get what I'm saying? No, haven't you seen these people? Two of them will come in and say, guy. And I don't know why they always start like that. Have you seen that when you're checking out in Ebano, you stand in the line for a long time? And you'll be like, yes. Say, I'm going to build, which is a great business model. I'm on the board of a company that does that. But what they did is they researched the problem very clearly. If you go to companies like Walmart and Target, or like the Black Americans say in America, Target, when you go to Target, you will see that they lose a lot of money from self-checkout. So before we get too excited, we must really, really define our audience and understand it. And then you build your MVP. We all know what the minimum viable product is. Sometimes when you're building for your minimum viable product, which is why I liked what you guys are doing, tech is going to enable the solution to the problem, which is what it should be. A lot of people go ahead and build something that is overblown as an MVP. There's a fintech that I consulted for. They did their product market fit on WhatsApp, a fintech, right? So it was credit lending for communities, right? So they would create a WhatsApp group for a community, assign somebody in the community to manage collections, and then pay all on WhatsApp, all on Google Sheets. And they raised on WhatsApp and Google Sheets and used the money to build the tech, but they had found product market fit. So make sure this MVP is very light. This is the journey to product market fit, PMF. Engage early adopters. You see all these people that are telling you, we need more money. They are part of your early adopters. These are your drivers. They're going to help you give feedback that will make your product stand head and shoulders above your competition because you're getting feedback. Of course, use data and you choose your distribution models, right? Well, throughout the next 4 days, 5 days, we're going to talk about all of this. Now, you mentioned Mark Andrew. But do you see why I struggle to pronounce his surname? Andrew. Okay, Mark Anderson. He has the famous product market fit quote that when it's too much. But there's another quote that I actually love more than that. And he says that you can always feel when product market fit is not happening. You always know. The customers aren't quite getting value out of the product. This is why I'm always like, we need to move away from founder sales. As soon as you get to a point where you're getting a lot of orders, because a lot of times family and friends support the founder. So we're not really testing to see whether we need to get it out of you. We're going to still leverage the networks and everything, but we need to make sure people are getting value out of the products. And if it's a founder relationship, it can be challenging. Word of mouth isn't spreading. I don't know how many of you have visited an amazing restaurant before. Can you name? I don't know. We're not advertising here. Anyone? Maybe where there's great amala in Lagos. Knock. See, I love amala and I'm an Igbo girl, but amala is my kryptonite kinda. So you see how you said knock. You know when you're describing knock, you're not going to say knock, you'll be like, see, the amala is light, it is fluffy. The way you talk about amazing restaurants, the way you talk about your favorite soccer player, Ronaldo, is the same way people should be able to talk about your product. And if that isn't happening, it means that people are not getting value out of it. Another thing is usage isn't growing that fast. There's a startup that I'm consulting for, and the founder was so excited. Actually, not consulting, I'm on the board. The founder is so excited about his product, but usage was not growing. And he said, Napa, it's because they don't understand. I said, you don't get it. Your customers are the people that make your product. That's why we started with, what do you like about your customers? And some of you, when you're talking about your customers, you were smiling. These are the people that keep you in business. They are the ones that tell you whether your product is working, whether your product is not working. So if usage isn't growing fast, again, fast for B2B and B2C are different. Your sales cycle for some products are longer than others. Sales cycle, how long it takes for your product to kind of be purchased. Okay? And reviews are kind of blah. You're always chasing your customers for customer reviews, surveys, case studies. And I encourage you, if you're B2B, case studies are your friend. They're very easy to do. I don't know how many of you incorporate case studies as B2B. You have to. You must. Right? Tell your customer to say what they liked about your product. Do a draft. Stacy does our case studies for B4B. Immediately we finish any session, she sends them a draft, complete, and tells them to sign. We use that as social proof. Don't sleep on it, please. Right? And the sales cycle takes too long. This is a great indicator that product market fit is not happening. If it's taking forever for you to convince a customer. Very funny story. My first sales job at Cisco, I didn't really understand selling as a science. I thought it was hustling, okay? And what I did is I wanted to set up a GoFundMe. So my uncles, my aunts, my parents, my friends could be buying Cisco routers and switches so I can make my targets. Because sales cycles were taking so long, deals didn't close. Because I wasn't selling to the correct ICP, I did not have a unique value proposition. And for the people I was selling to, there was no product market fit. I want you to really reflect on this and look at the areas where you're feeling there's some sort of disconnect. We can fix it today, don't worry. But be real with yourself. Because sometimes us founders and people that work in startups, you're so excited about the problem you're solving, you are not really reflecting on what your customers are telling you. And these are all indications. Now, you can always feel product market fit when it is happening, right? The customers are buying the product just as fast as you can make it, or the usage is growing just as fast as you can add more servers. Servers for B2C, okay? Now, remember what we said, there is a journey. Please remember it is a journey. It's not like all these aspects will hit from day one. No. But you need to be reflecting on this. Is the sales cycle long because the product is not making sense? Or is my pricing strategy not right? Because I'm talking about pricing strategy. We may go deep and find out it's not that. It's the value proposition. We may go deeper and find out it's not that. It is the customer profile. We may go deeper and find out actually there is a competitive solution that delivers the same value at 80% less. So reflection on these kind of things is really important, right? Now, we're going to take a vote. What do we think? True or false? PMF is not a destination but a moving target. It is not a destination, it moves. Why do we say so? Because, and we need to realize this, because I see founders, you say that we've achieved product market fit. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You keep on looking for how to make sure your PMF is dynamic. So this is it. What works today may not work in 6 months' time. This is true. This is just the truth. And I think panels, and when they ask me, this is when I worked in all these big tech companies, they'll ask me about how do you do like PMF operation. I said it's all about prioritization. You just need to be able to prioritize what is most important to you. Because then I became an entrepreneur. I said, this thing is hard, right? And this can be very challenging because that means you have to be on top of the market. You have to be on top of your customers' feedback. You have to be on top of policy changes. You have to be on top of so many things, right? But once you understand this dynamic, you can bake a lot of these things into business as usual. I always recommend, as founders, there should be newsletters you subscribe to, right? There should be information you consume about your sector every morning as you start your day. Every morning as you start your day, you look at your dashboard. Your dashboard could be Instagram backend, is all right. But there's some data you are looking at that's letting you know how consumers, customers are interacting with your product. You don't just start your day because you need to be able to have this. I do this for 15 minutes every morning. It helps me a lot. So for the startups that I'm on the board, or I'm part of them, there's some data sheets they sent to me and I just look because the data lets you know. And if you run a MRR business, which is a monthly recurring revenue business, sometimes the hit March. So if you were not looking at the signs, you will miss it and you will not realize that competition is taking your breakfast and your lunch. So now let's look at MoneyPoint. MoneyPoint is our African unicorn. We know what a unicorn is, right? A startup valued at 1 billion. I need to cough. 1 billion is the amount, my brothers and my sisters. $1 billion. Billion dollars. And people forget that MoneyPoint has been in existence for 9 years, right? Yeah? And actually pivoted. It was not MoneyPoint from the beginning. So do we think MoneyPoint has achieved product market fit? How much did they raise? How much did they raise this year? Who knows? I know they raised in Series A and then Visa. It's business, you know? So they've raised significantly. That means valuation was on point. That means traction was on point. Revenue was on point. Systems, because Visa Ventures invested in them in their second round this year. All right? So they were founded in 2018. They serve over 20,000 active merchants across Nigeria. They process 3 million transactions monthly. Year-over-year growth rate is 150%. This is huge. This is huge because people keep on saying merchant acquisition is very hard in fintech. If you have this business model, this is a very, very big number in what we call a saturated market. And then their CAGR, their average revenue growth is projected at 30% over 5 years in what is termed a declining economy, right? Or economy going into recession. So the question is, has MoneyPoint achieved PMF, product market fit? One vote for yes. Yes, we have 3 yeses. You said no. 2 no's. Yeah? No, there's no right answer. There's no right answer. But there's something MoneyPoint has done. They do something called continuous product market fit. How do they do this? Ongoing alignment. If you talk about fintechs that understand the Nigerian market, nobody quite does it like MoneyPoint. That is their power. They understand their users. They understand their customers. The only fintech that did a POS that was a different color. They were the first to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did anybody else do a different color? So who did? OPay did. Theirs is green. But how many OPay POSs have I seen though? As much as MoneyPoint. As OPay. Let's not forget to, PalmPay came into market as well. And it's always OPay and MoneyPoint that we use as examples of people that understood the customer and understood the market. But who do you think understands merchants and business owners more, MoneyPoint or OPay? MoneyPoint. Okay? Hey.
I don't think they are on their market space.
Some people just, like, Stacey just decided to throw shade. For no reason. Hey! No, Momo is big in Kenya. Let's give them their props. MTN looked at their ideal customer profile. They looked at the market that would make sense, and they went into Kenya. Innit? And they're doing very well there. Yeah, because I actually don't think they're struggling in Nigeria because their go-to-market is wrong. I just think the Nigerian market isn't the best market for mobile money. Yeah.
For some way, somehow, the way the Nigerian economy has been structured and the way we consume financial products is not really the way the East African climate has been structured.
Exactly.
So, totally different.
Do you see how easily you said this? But when it comes to our own products and our own business, we can't be this objective. Do you see what I'm saying? MTN did a smart business thing. They moved their Momo to the market that would give them the highest return. They de-invested in Nigeria. And then MoneyPoint is actually considering scaling out of Nigeria. And a lot of financial institutions are advising them not to. Because this, their deep knowledge of the market. Nobody has been able to do it. And it's because of continuous product market fit. So that's why when a startup says they've achieved, I don't even think Netflix has achieved product market fit. Because Netflix needs to pivot right now. Are you seeing what happened to Achilogo on YouTube? Sorry, private joke. No, what people are doing on YouTube now is they're building TV production companies on YouTube, right? And then another thing is feedback loops. We're going to show a very easy tool you can use to be able to measure product market fit and get feedback. Agile feature evolution. These guys, it's almost as if the market is about to sneeze and they bring tissue paper. I don't know how they do it. It is this agile feature evolution. They do it so well. So you see this thing of we need more money, our drivers. You know the funniest thing, you could actually build a product that none of your competition have because you are listening and hearing everything your customers are saying as feedback. And there is a skill to taking feedback from customers, right? Especially engineers. I'm talking to you. So when they come, no, you guys do this a lot too, because I run a dev shop. The customer will come and say, I can't log in. Say, you can log in now. Did you use lowercase? All these customers that don't know how to use tech. Open the app. Can't you see you should? And the customer is telling you, I used my lowercase for my username, and you've locked it in at uppercase, as in it's case sensitive. I mean, just make it not non-case sensitive. That is feedback. But now if the customer keeps on putting in the wrong password, and you find out most people don't put in the wrong password, that is feedback you can just use and explain, but you don't have to tweak, right? So this, everything your customer tells you is feedback. Don't try and objection handle everything unless you're in a sales cycle. And we'll talk about the difference customer feedback and objection handling on Wednesday. And then performance monitoring, key metrics. I see this happen a lot, especially with tech-enabled startups. You're finding that people after onboarding do not use your app. You'll be like, it's not for them. It's for them. Oh, sure, they have money. They must use it. They downloaded it. Because for B2C, when it's an app, your sale happens when somebody downloads. Customer success happens afterwards. You need to be looking at key metrics. When I was in AWS, we start our day with our dashboard. We're looking at usage trends. We're looking at which customers spun up a server and did not use it. We're looking at how many S3 buckets you put. If one drops, I'm calling the customer, or one of my account managers will call the customer. What's going on? Hey, are you okay? Is all well? Can I help in any way? And that's where metrics come in. But apart from metrics, looking at data. And look, I know what I'm saying sounds fantastical because you're balancing so many things. I know. And because I'm on this side now, I know, right? Before, I was on the side where I'll be like, no, just open monitor, 15 KPIs. Yeah. I'm not like that again. If I've repented. If you can find a dashboard, that can show some key metrics, wherever that dashboard is, whatever that data is. If it is looking at sales data of number of leads, let us use that as a key metric. We used to generate 20 leads every month. We're now generating 10. You need to go deep. You may find that the reason your leads have dropped is there's a new competitor that came into market and is doing a migration program for your customers. You see what I'm saying? So data helps a lot, right? Okay, so while I try and fix this, I want us to talk about this sincerely. Do you think you are able to manage innovation, that's innovating on your product, and then continuous PMF at the same time? Honestly. Yeah? Just looking at feedback, implementing feedback, and looking at a metric or a few metrics, just a few data points every day or every week that you're kind of keeping it. Where would we feel the challenge would be? So this is why we're going to have a session on data, right? And maybe what we can do is if there's any data you have, you can share it with us before the call, right? So we can help you look at the data. What I always advise is look at the simplest data point you can think of that means the most to your business, right? Revenue is a good one, always number one, right? Because you are not in business if you're not generating some sort of revenue. But maybe we can look at usage if it's a tech platform, or we can look at new users. So there is, I can show it maybe during coffee break. One of the startups that I'm on the advisory board, my dashboard only has 2 metrics. It has users, and then it has active users. That's it. So I'm always looking at why is our active users dropping? Because that means that what they're interacting with on the site, on the application, is not interesting and effective enough. And truly, once we see a drop, it means that the user-generated content is not being generated. So you see, there is now an initiative to attract user-generated content regularly, because we see that that is what impacts active users. You see what I'm saying? But it's such a simple metric. But because we noticed the trend and we could see what the reason was, we were now able to address it. So maybe start with a small data point. We can look at number of HNIs we sign up, right? Or we look at number of leads that drop off. For you, that one is the data you need to look at too. How many leads actually don't convert? What is your conversion ratio at the lead stage? And the reason why. So if we keep on seeing out of 20 leads, 19 don't convert, and out of the 19, 17 is price, immediately you call a price strategy meeting. Let me use small language. You call a meeting to say, guys, we are losing money because our price is too high. We can even do something that simple. And this is where they're going, and this is the difference in price. Can I try and drop our price if possible and see if instead of 19 dropping off, we go down to 15? Once we see the 15 has come down, we're like, okay, so that was the answer. You see why the data is now so important, right? So of course, a lot of us treat PMF as one-time milestone. We're seeing from the greats that they continue to, and we'll look at Netflix later on, all they did. So it evolves. Now, we have a tendency to always celebrate startups that did well. So every single event that we have in Africa on startups, we talk about Shola of Paystack. We now say that they're doing well. I think now they process 1 trillion naira in transactions monthly, right? Yeah, I didn't cough at that one. I don't know why. We look at the successes. We look at GB or Flutterwave. Anybody else we can think of? Farmer Run, Money Point, of course. Anybody? Iroko TV is still doing quite well, I understand. Yeah, but they exited Nigeria. A couple of others that we would mention, right, that are doing well. But there are quite a number that don't survive the product market fit or even survive startup world. So I wanted us to talk about like which failed startup shocked you? Anybody that wants to share? And why do you think they failed? Please, let's be kind, because, the failed founder, if you're a failed founder, you, funnily enough, have a higher chance of raising the second time you go. You will always raise. So it's not a bad thing at all. But let's not be negative here. Anybody that comes to mind that really surprised you? Anybody? Isn't it funny? We could think very deeply about the winners, but we're not learning from the failures, right? One that didn't shock me, but it was Honey's startup, the EdTech, that she closed down. Yes. What was the name of her EdTech? Edukayak. She just closed it down like 2 weeks ago. But I've been speaking to some VCs, and they are so impressed with how she closed down. I don't know, and there's no EdTech here. EdTech is a hard one. Yes. EdTech is a climb. And she was able to give her investors their money back, which was just top notch for me. I loved it. But I like the fact that she acknowledged PMF. She didn't see a path to achieving product market fit at sustainable revenue streams, right? So as a take home, I would like you to think of a startup in the segment you are in that has failed and really study why they failed. we always remember the ones that failed against somebody that was successful. Like in Netflix against what's the name of every Blockbuster. We have heard Blockbuster forever.
I now you mentioned it. A startup that quote unquote has failed, but they seem to still be around. Why I think they failed? Because like I've tried their solution, it doesn't work. They've raised a lot of money, but they're still around. I'm kind of surprised they're still around. And their co-founder, the tech head, has moved to the UK. It's like, and completely. I don't want to.
It's okay. No, but doesn't this story sound familiar? If we've been in the startup ecosystem for a minute, you raise, but then when you go and use the product, it doesn't work, right?
They raised like almost $4 million. I was like, really?
No, when did they raise? It was like 2 years ago. It's not now. You can't raise now because before, I have to put on my phone. Please forgive me. Before, I was in a British accent, comes with his black T-shirt logo. You know how we do, with the lovely logo, and he starts talking. My God, even me, I was like, wow. I was like an ambulance. Wow. He was just blowing my mind. And he said, you know how we got the name? We got the name from, I walked into a room and they said this and it means this in Yoruba. I was like, ay. And the guy, they gave him 400K. Yeah? And it's been 3 years. I don't even think they have launched past MVP. I don't even think there's really a product, to be honest. Let me be very honest, right? So that one is people that used a lot of the successes of people that went ahead of them as an advantage. Because if Paystack had been fraudulent, I do feel it would have affected our funding. But because Paystack was built ethically, transparently, with the best tech, and was like a standout, and they went to Y Combinator and they did so well, it has impacted our ecosystem so positively. And people feel they're looking for the next Shola and Ezra. They're looking for the next Paystack, and that's what people use, right? But what you said is sometimes the challenge we have is that our products don't work. And it's because we're not doing continuous product market fit. There are many examples, many examples. And Google Glass. I used to work at Google, right? How many of you ever heard of Google Glass? The monies that were spent, it's not money, there's IES inside. The monies that were spent on Google Glass. Did you guys know Google had a social media network? Google Plus. You can go online, it's still there. You see. So it's not only smaller companies that make this mistake. Product market fit, right? And they kept doubling down on these two products. They kept doubling down on it. And people kept on saying, this is not the way we want it. There were privacy concerns here, over bloated features here, MVP. I mean, how many of us use Threads? Yeah? You know, Threads came in and they just said people are going to start moving from X soon. We're going to duplicate X and give it to y'all and make it a less toxic version. And that was their own product market fit. And I'm not seeing as much innovation as I would have loved, like I'm seeing in WhatsApp. WhatsApp, if you sneeze and say you want a feature, they give it to you. You can see the PMF in WhatsApp every day. Now suddenly businesses are using WhatsApp for support when WhatsApp was looked down on. Another company that does great continuous PMF is Canva. Can you hear that? You see? Do you see how you know you have achieved product market fit? People are talking about you. People are eager. When they ask me to pay my Canva bill, I pay it. You know? And, sorry? No, but do you know when you were a designer and you said, they say, what do you design on? And you say Canva. People look down on you. Like, this one doesn't know what they're talking about. Now you can do everything in Canva. You can do presentations. You can do workbook. You can do whiteboarding. You can do everything, right? So the thing is, in these two cases, a company that had as much revenue, as much money, as much access to research couldn't achieve PMF. And the reason we're showing this is so you know how important that continuous PMF is. So where MoneyPoint was successful, where Canva was successful, where WhatsApp is successful, we're not seeing as much innovation on Instagram and Threads as we're seeing on WhatsApp, same company. If you go to Google Ads is still one of the best, highest converting ad. Well, people argue with me, they'll say Meta, but still, there's a lot of innovation there. So we have to make sure we keep this top of mind in our sales. Now look at Ray-Ban glasses. Really big. Yeah, they're doing great numbers. And Ray-Ban is because it looks so cool. And then you have to talk before you take somebody's picture. In Google, what's the name of that? Google Glasses. You could go around and be videoing people without permission. There were lots of privacy issues. And then Snapchat Spectacles is also doing quite well, right? So you have to see that sometimes the way you are not doing the continuous PMF is the reason why your product is not landing in market. You can see what they solved for in the Ray-Ban and the spectacles was fashion. Is it not weird? Video recording for screen. Reasonable price. Clear use cases. Address privacy considerations. Usability. Target. So another thing you need to consider as you're building your product, is your product a painkiller or a vitamin? Right? The unique value proposition, or you're doing your ideal customer profile, you don't consider the difference. A painkiller is, the painkiller solves a burning issue immediately. Right? This is why cross-border payments, every fintech says, we are the ones that are going to solve cross-border payments. Because cross-border payments is a burning issue. It's such a huge issue. Like fleet management, all these things that you have mentioned, solar, they're all burning issues. Okay? Or is it a vitamin, a nice to have? It's not a bad thing if your product is a vitamin. Some people argue that Instagram is, I was in a room with some people and they kept on fighting me when I said it's a vitamin. She said, Napa, that's because you don't understand Instagram. I said, my bad, I apologize. They said Instagram is used for businesses, which is true. It solves the problem of visibility. It solves the problem of being able to connect with your customers, but that's only now. Before it started as a vitamin. So you have to understand this very clearly because it helps you position your product correctly. All right. So, yes, sir.
Fluctuate between vitamin.
Would I say fluctuate? I think let's call it use cases. So great product development happens when you're constantly looking for new use cases for your product. And one way to do that is to make sure there are enough people using your product, right? Let's take, for example, LinkedIn. LinkedIn was not in any way, shape, a painkiller when they started. Do we remember? It was where you put some of your stuff. But suddenly, like LinkedIn has become legitimately a key part of your visibility, your branding. If you want to look for a job, it's LinkedIn. So they have quietly moved to where if you don't have a LinkedIn profile that somebody can check out when they want to do business with you or hire you, it's almost like you're suspect, right? Yeah. But remember LinkedIn was trying to go social. So they started doing lives. Stories. Do you remember when LinkedIn started stories and all that? It didn't fit because that's not how people were using their product. So continuous customer market fit is so important because you're always getting feedback from the people using your product to understand how they're using your product. Yeah? So we may find out that solar, maybe a product is calculating usage of my solar. I want to be able to do that. I think that's where Sunfi differentiated themselves in market because you were able to come on your own, put in all you needed, it will calculate your consumption and then give you a solar solution right there on the site and then give you a payment structure. It was a clear differentiator because nobody was doing that. Everybody was just saying, buy 2 panels, buy 5 batteries. You're like, I don't even understand what I need. And they solved that. So that part of their solution, actually, though it was a vitamin, because it's something you can or cannot have because that's not the product, it supported the painkiller of trying to find alternative energy very quickly. Right? So that engagement and understanding of your product is very important. And then just the last point on this, it's very important for the product teams and the sales teams, marketing teams, and to be very much aligned. So when the feedback comes, it's taken to product and product understands high level where the company is going. Because I find sometimes the reason devs push back is because every little thing that happens on the tech platform, people come and tell them. And they're like, there's no clear way that I'm able to know this is what needs to be done. So as your business matures, it will be a good idea to have a session where people give feedback. You can do it as sync. It can be a document, and then leadership prioritizes, those very nice things that help devs feel very empowered to make decisions about the product. It's not every time somebody cannot log in. They said, what was the problem? Do I know? They said they can't log in. Even teaching teams how to give feedback is also important when you have a tech platform. So obviously the developer wants to see a video. They want to see how you interacted with the product. They want to see all these things so they know where the problem is and they're able to fix that. Yeah, so, and another thing is parts of your business could be vitamins, other parts could be painkillers. So Google Glasses was a vitamin. Nobody asked for it, nobody needed it. But Ray-Ban and Snapticals, or whatever they call themselves. Hey, not whatever they call themselves, that's a beautiful product. Snapchat glasses. So Snapchat glasses, they saw that there were actually people that would have loved this, and they were able to now listen and build something they wanted, right? Okay. Yes.
If your product is a vitamin, is there a way to sort of make people think it's a painkiller?
Yeah, unethical marketing practices. But do you have an example? No, people do it all the time. People do it.
Okay, so I don't have a tech business. I have a food-related business.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to solve is for lovers. So it's a treat-based gifting and experience company. It's not necessarily a painkiller. There's no problem in quotes. But I'm trying to think of how do I make this vitamin that it is a nice to have, people want to feel loved, people want to see seen, to a painkiller that you think, if I want to love someone, I must give them this product type. I don't
feel you. And my own personal opinion, you may disagree, is that when you have a product that's a vitamin, it's not a bad thing. We have to really understand that. It's just for you to have your unique value proposition and know who you sell to, right? Because there's some people, gifting is a legitimate part of their lives. Like they need to have somebody that can take those ideas and then give it to people they love. You just need to find those people. The challenge with if your product is a vitamin and you're trying to make it a painkiller is where unethical marketing practices come in. And you think of some things around beauty. You will now start promoting beauty standards. If we remember the BBL, I hope everybody knows what a BBL is here. Yeah? No, it's a very serious medical problem now because people are dying from it. But there were people that were promoted as beauty standards so that you would now come and do the surgery as if you were not beautiful if you didn't take this vitamin, which is surgery. So I always caution, because once people understand that actually this is not something I need to have, the blowback will come to your company because people will start looking for who to blame for promoting that harmful marketing. So on a personal level, I don't subscribe to that. However, what we can do for vitamin products is we start looking at data, right? So there are times in the year people buy more for other people, right? So you now start positioning correctly before that. You know your timings now. You know your Valentine's Day, Christmas. We can do something for Easter. So now we look at that. Then we now look at when do people give people gifts. And we start doing creative campaigns around it. So you can actually do, I don't know if you do a Ramadan gifting. Great idea. Delivers at 6 p.m. for those you love to support them. You can do Easter gifting for people that will do things that are important during that period. You now do a really lovely gifting pack. So all you need to do then is to look for Christians online, using tools, sales intelligence tools like Apollo, do your nice package and send. You can do for aunties and uncles, I want to give nephews and nieces their first day of school. There are many interesting ideas we can think of that we can now position and get them into your company, and then they just know that you are the person to use. So yeah, I'm always very careful about that because of blowback. All right, so now we have finished, I think we have exhausted PMF. Once you are going through product market fit, of course, unique value proposition comes in. We know what unique value proposition is. It's in the word, unique value proposition. No, but seriously, it's what sets you apart, right? And I find that a lot of times when people ask us about our company, what sets you apart, we're not able to really articulate it clearly. Abi? We can't say it. Say that what we do is let me give you an example. Like if you say, what does B4B do? Well, we'll tell you, B4B helps you make money. Yeah? And we do it through programs and trainings and actionable consulting. It's very simple, very easy. And what we do is we can add in front of that a lot of startups, 9 out of 10 startups fail. The number one reason is we teach you how to use revenue as your primary source of capital. You see how it just hits you like, because if you have that problem, you're going to call us. But a lot of times we put a lot of English around it, especially if our target market doesn't appreciate English. So for your drivers, your unique value prop, because you have two types of customers. You can say you're unique, we help you make more money. That is it. Because if I'm a driver and you're telling me you help me, I say, how? I've engaged you. You are now in my sales process. Because I've hit you as in if this is what drivers really want to. Because you said, So if that's what they really want, we want to use that. We help you make more money. Let us be your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th stream of income. Do you see? That is because we have identified the problem that the customer has and we're hitting it. So, we're doing this together. Okay. So the thing is, PMF and your unique value proposition go together, right? Product market fit and finding your unique value proposition are the two things that go together. So product market fit is the lock. This is the problem we've identified in the market. PMF, we have found the people that have the problem. Now, unique value proposition is the key. This is what we will now go and tell the people that have the problem. This is how you solve your problem. It communicates exactly why you are the perfect fit to solve that problem. That is the PMF and UVP. It's very important. You can see that product market fit helps you, you see, because you now know the people that have the problem, right? They've told you what the issue is. You are working with them to solve this problem. Now, PMF is early adopters. That's very important. We all know this. The first 5 customers, for B4B, is usually the first 10. For B2C, we always say the first 100, right? So once you are doing this, you need to be crafting this as you are learning more about your customers. You're learning that for solar, what they want is to get off grid. Maybe that's what solar people want. We will get you off grid in 1 to 2 years and reduce the amount you pay Echo Distribution, NEPA, PH, what are we called? We pay the people that are on band A. We'll reduce your spend on band A by 98% in 2 years. Will I not buy your product? But instead, what we'll say is that we provide solar solutions that are digital in nature and have AI embedded inside. And what we do is once we give you your solar, it's able to turn on your fridge. But that's not the person's problem. Right? And in doing PMF, you are learning the problem, you're learning the challenges, and you craft it exactly as they have said. Right? And let's use Flutterwave. This looks like a very easy UVP, unique value prop. But when Flutterwave came out, this was huge. Huge. How much is Flutterwave worth? $3 billion, right? Yeah, they're on Series C, I think. They've raised up to Series C. We make it easier for African businesses to accept payments from anywhere in the world. Who remembers Butter? Yeah? Did any of you use Butter? No, don't tell me this. From Flutterwave now? Yes! Do you remember how hard it was to pay for like Apple subscription or until Butter came around? We do it like it's easy now, but then it was so difficult. This UVP made so many people use Flutterwave. Why is it perfect? And the outcome should be for the customer, not you. Right? It solves a real problem. It addresses both local and global businesses. It directly matches the continent's increasing digital commerce demand. we make it easier. They didn't say we make it the easiest platform, but they did make it easier. This was their unique value proposition. Let's look at another one. M-Pharma. We make medications affordable and accessible through technology, innovation, supply chains, and pharmacy partnerships. In fact, there's one, Pharma Run. Pharma Run says we'll get your medication to you in 3 hours or less. That's their own. You see it in their name, Pharma Run. So whenever I'm trying to order medication for my mom in Enugu, I always use Pharma Run. And true, they get it to her in 3 hours or less. That's their value proposition. That's their brand promise. So it communicates the core benefits, affordability, access to life-saving medication. It's, of course, high drug prices. So for M-Pharma, I think they're in Uganda. You would always check the prices, and their prices are always less because they have large. M-Pharma is in Nigeria as well. But do you notice this? Their brand promise is true. Their medications are less. But please, in the UVP, make sure it is true story we are telling. Let us not be lying inside this line because people will check it out. I had to whisper that part, Yeah. Because some people will come and say, 50% off or your money back. Then the money comes back and says, did you read our terms and conditions? You're like, what happened? So we need to make sure it's true. But you can see how simple it is for people to understand, right? We're going to spend some time trying to work that out in your workbooks because UVPs takes brainstorming, it takes thinking through with your team, it takes thought, right? For example, I don't know what your UVP is for your gift giving. Do you know it? Like what you say. Your unique value proposition, why somebody will buy from you. Mm-hmm.
What you say to how you say, I'm thinking of you always to your best friend, and how you say to your supporters, I couldn't do life without you.
Oh, that's pretty. Now that's making me feel a ways. Yeah, no, clap for her. It's so cute.
Thank you.
No, but we are a captive audience. You should sell to us as well. Though. Yeah, so that's really, really nice, right? So you have your business, because it's a vitamin, it's tugging at the heartstrings, and you've crafted it in a way that people can use it, right? It's like Make-A-Wish Foundation. Their own is tell us your wish and we'll make it come true, right? Which is very powerful and scary at the same time because I don't know how they make that happen, right? So it's important because it's the core reason why someone should choose your product or service over any other. So customers these days are in the market for a product, not only with you or a service. Because now we have Google search, we have ChatGPT, we have DeepSeek, we have Gemini. Who else again? Sorry? You have Claude. So many. So before a customer meets you or comes into your pipeline of leads, they have investigated many. You cannot waste your first contact with a customer because you've done continuous product market fit. You know their challenges, right? You need to be able to say it immediately. Immediately. You don't waste time. This is why they should choose you. It is your clearest statement of the value you offer, who it's for, and why you're different or why you're better, right? So you can say, arguably, we're 10% less than anybody in the market when it comes to solar. That can be your value. If price is what your customers are telling you is the main problem, but maybe the main problem is reliability. So we say that we do 5-year warranty. So you see why your UVP is always tied to what customers are saying are the challenges they are facing, because that is what will set you apart, okay? So it gives you clarity in a crowded market. Abby? I don't think there's any unique startup now or small business, is there? Like one that is standing by itself. I can't think of any. I can't think. There's solar. In fact, somebody asked me to be on the board. I had to turn her down because she said she wanted to use technology to enable people to taste her food at scale. Mm-hmm. So you can. Thank you. No, I didn't. I really was perplexed. I was really lost, to be honest. I didn't really get what she was saying. But even in that, it's a crowded market, right? And if we look at Chowdeck, I don't know how many of you Chowdeck here. Look at what Chowdeck. Oh. In fact, I was on a panel with them once, and there was time for Q&A. I was moderating the panel. All the question was like, when are you coming to our area? When are you coming here? When are you coming here? But Chowdeck did a fantastic thing. They solved the logistic problem. That's all they did, though, really. And it's so brilliant what they were able to achieve, because they didn't come and say, we're trying to go and do a delivery business. They solved the problem that delivery businesses have always had, and that's the logistics, right? So they owned it, they trained it, etc. And that's where the research comes in. And it drives customer choice. This UVP, aligning marketing, sales, and product, because it tells product what features to prioritize. It tells sales what features to talk about. And it tells marketing what features to promote when they're doing brand positioning, when they're doing awareness, that is the UVP. You see this UVP, I can't overstate it. If you are 1, 2, 5, 10 in your company, sit down and say what really sets us apart. And make sure it's the whole company, finance, everybody that is thinking through what is our unique value proposition. And when you're in a very crowded market, your unique value proposition may not be a product feature. It could actually be a delivery model. Do you see? It could be a finance, how you're set up financially, how you accept payments. It could be something else. But we need to sit down and say, really, 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 what sets us apart? Why would a customer choose me over 5 other people that's their competition? Right? So this is very important. Once you're going, you've established continuous profit market fit. Next thing, we need to get UVP. After this, we'll do ICP. And it's the foundation for growth. It helps you find PMF faster. Though you never find it too, but still, it helps you get there faster because you're very clear on who you are serving. Very clear. I see this even in service industries like photographers. When you're trying to hire technical support for an event, you rarely find an event that is able to tell you why they are different from the next person, these vendors. So can you imagine if somebody comes and says, we only do events that require high quality audio and visual delivery, and we are able to help you create your social media breakouts, all of that, all that information. You are positioning yourself. So what it means is that when you're doing your product brochures, when you're doing your engagement, that's what you're highlighting, okay? It's really, really important, right? I've said this before. Your unique value proposition is not about you. They position the UVP based on product features rather than customer outcomes. Now, I encourage you to think of Nike. We all know Nike ads now. They will now say, sweat today, get up tomorrow. Or they'll say that the future is here. I don't even know what they're talking about. But the UVP inspires anyone to become an athlete. That is their unique value proposition. They didn't say their Nike shoes. There's some Nike shoes, correct me if I'm wrong, but there were some Nike shoes that had a problem during the Olympics because people felt it gave some athletes an undue advantage. They had some technology inside them. Nike shoes are built on serious technology, but they never talk about it. Have you noticed? Never talk about their product features. Always the outcome. Then they use inspiring people like Serena Williams and see the quote, if they think your dreams are crazy, show them what crazy dreams can do. Please, my brethren, how do you see this as marketing copy? Still one of the #1 footwear companies in the world, though. Their UVP is anybody. They want to inspire anybody to become an athlete. The outcome, not the features. Right? So when you are a true athlete, when you're looking for a Nike shoe, you're looking for the one that has maybe compression, you're looking for the one that has an insole this and insole that. But majority of the people that buy don't buy that just because it's an inspiring brand. Again, tagline, just do it. In line with anybody can become an athlete. Yeah? Our mission is what drives us to do everything possible to expand human potential. Can you see the alignment between the three? So imagine if your UVP is to get everybody off grid. That is as a solar company. It could be that, right? Or to connect you to the most reliable fleet of cars, etc. and so forth, vehicles. So we have to think this through very clearly. And there's something I want us to, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the jobs to be done framework. So if you can, in your extra time, look through it. Jobs to be done is part of design thinking when you're building products. And you think of your product as a customer comes to hire your product to get a job done. So when they're hiring your product, they're looking at the outcomes hiring their product will give them. It's a whole framework and everything, but it's a really nice way to think of your product. It helps you write your UVP. What job is my customer hiring our product to do? So if you're doing your UVP, a good framework, design thinking with jobs to be done when you're going through it. Example, Slack didn't sell team communication, it sold eliminating internal email chaos. So the reason somebody uses Slack is not because they're trying to improve team communication. It's usually because they don't want everything to go on email, and then they want to be able to control how much time people spend on Slack. They're hiring Slack to help them take care of the chaos of internal communication. Can you see? It's a different way of thinking of product design, but it's a very powerful way to think of it. So what is your customer hiring your product for? So let's come to your drivers. Your drivers are coming because they want to make more money. They want to make it in a more structured way. They don't want to look for customers. They want an inflow. So they're hiring your company to provide them with additional revenue streams. So when they say make more money, they're actually saying, we love your product. We want you to do more for us. You see the thinking? Yeah. So explore it if you want to. I find it to be a very powerful framework, jobs to be done. So that's something you can think about when you're doing your UVP, right? We're breaking in 50, I think we can go for a break in 15 minutes because it's been a long stretch, and then we can come back and then, sir.
We started Request Mechanic because we experienced a breakdown on the road. Our UVP is we help you stay on the road. Let us keep you going. And we're looking to, we're trying to find the ICP for this now. It's a bit challenging because, yeah, a bunch of things, yeah.
But this is a very interesting one. Let's dive deep into ICP. We'll talk about it, please, right? Because technically, everybody on the road is your customer. We just need to find out who spends within your product price. And then
it seems to be fluctuating between the vitamin and the painkiller. Whereas like while we were building our email list, talking to people, I ran across many people, well, a few people who were like, I slept on Third Mainland Bridge, but then they have their own technician. And they don't remember to use Request to Mechanic until they're stuck again, but they want to be on the list. So it's kind of like it's nice to have it. I don't really need it until boom, there's a problem.
So two things we can think of is let's try and get those technicians they use to join your platform.
Yeah, we're on board. We're
onboarding that. The second thing, I know it sounds very morbid, but let's look for where there are high traffic accidents or breakdowns in Lagos and the people that live around there. Yeah?
So anytime I talk to people about Fleet Pulse Africa, I just try to go the full yard of the earlier introduction that I said. So I would like to go over it again so that you can take us through it. So Fleet Pulse Africa, we aim to build a fleet management solution that empowers fleet operators with digital tools, leveraging big data, machine learning, Internet of Things, and AI capabilities for predictive, preventive maintenance and for optimal fleet operations.
Okay. So let's help you reduce costs by helping you predict, right?
Yeah. Breakdown.
Predict when you need maintenance on your vehicles. Because when you put that we aim to build, and I know you've done a lot of work on this, but when you're coming and you're pitching something to me, the foundation for me for sales is my customer has a need. Sometimes it's an unexpressed need, and sometimes it's a need they don't really understand. And when you come and you pitch a product to me, I'm disconnected. But when you come, understanding my need, understanding my problem, and you give me a solution, you will make a sale. This is just the truth. And we have to find the people that have that problem or have that need, whether it's a vitamin or a painkiller. So a lot of times we come, that's why we come with the product and we're trying to explain to them the amazingness of our product. Let me be very honest, they don't care, and neither do you. When you open Netflix, imagine if when Netflix opens and it says, we are the premier destination for technology, advanced something. You don't care. All you want to do is to watch Squid Game. And you want it to open, and you want to see your recommendations. So always think of yourself as a customer as well, right? When you are buying something, do you really want to know about the mission and vision and goals and of the company? Especially if it is a pressing need you have. So even in sales presentations, I always say put the customer first. In your appendix, put all your, vision, mission, goals, our CEO. Nobody cares. I say it's shocking to you, but nobody cares. Your customer has a real problem. Solve it for them, right? So that's why if you notice, this is the reason we always use Nike as an example. When you learn about the technology Nike puts in their shoes, you'll wonder why they don't talk about it more. But that isn't the reason people buy their shoes. Most of the people that buy their shoes is because they feel inspired. And you see it from the UVP to the tagline to the mission, because they understand that for the average person, exercising is not the norm. For the average person, sports is not the norm. So they bring inspiring people to you, to inspire you to go out and buy that Nike shoe. Yeah? I know it's a mind shift, right? But think of yourself as a customer. Really, really think of yourself as a customer. Think of somebody that works from home. This is where customer personas start coming in. You start thinking of different types of people. Think of somebody that works from home, has a $3,000 job that pays him, but he supports his mother in the village with it. He supports his wife, his family with it, but he always has power outages. Would you really come to him and say, we built a technology? Would you really do that? Or what would you tell him? You say that, let us help you get off grid so you can be up, you can have uptime 100% of the time. You have resonated. So we have to stop thinking of our customers as human beings, as people that are not human, that don't have pains, don't have troubles, even nice to haves, right? And that's where your unique value proposition comes in, because you understand their problem, you understand their challenge, and you're speaking it back to them and saying, this is how we solve it better than anybody else or different from everybody else, right? Let me give you an example. We recently redid our website. We had been looking for a website developer all the time, not all the time, for quite some time. And the people kept on telling us about plugins, WordPress, talking nonsense. This guy comes on a call with me and he says, I want to make B4B feel like the team I met. I want it to look like you guys. How can I help? Sold. Because that was the problem we were having. We didn't care about the technology. We had a real problem. Our website did not look like us. It didn't feel like us. And he said that's what he's getting. He didn't tell me anything about the plugins. He didn't tell me anything about the technology, because we had a real problem. You see what I'm saying? I hope it's connecting, right? And we know you've all built amazing things. They will see it. Let me give the last example on this point. There was a CTO that had joined a very high-profile company, but he wasn't technically sound. He didn't have a lot of technical knowledge. And I was in SAP then. So beside me was Microsoft. Everybody was pitching to him because they had large budgets. And after the meetings, they would all come out and say, can you imagine? He doesn't know anything about technology. But I knew he had a problem. I just needed to find it out. So I had a meeting with him. And I said, sir, how can I help you? Right? How can I really support you in your journey? He now shared all the ideas he had, brilliant ideas. I went into our company, we had value engineering, and we built a strategy document from him. That revenue, maybe we had like 20% of it. Everything else competition. And we I positioned it to him. And then I told him something else. Every Monday, they would have a leadership meeting and they'll ask him for trends. He never knew what to say. So you know what I did? I would prepare an email for him every Monday with key things he needs to discuss. And I'll say, call me to discuss these points. Am I not solving this guy's problem? He took our annual revenue from 150,000 euros to 3 million euros per year because of that. Till today, he still calls me. Till this minute. So that is how you have to see your customers. Really, really empathize with them. That's why the PMF continuously, we're listening to them. We're understanding what that's when you can sell. Okay? So let's brainstorm our UVP very strongly. But the last thing before we break for a much needed break, before we do our final and last session, and then we'll break very short, is this idea of pivoting. This is, I think, one of the hardest things for founders to do. You remember the first part, when you know you are not hitting product market fit, slow sales, long sales cycles, people are not talking about you. We struggle with this pivoting, okay? And pivoting is really important. But there's a difference between pivoting and continuous PMF. We have to understand. This was the original Instagram. I don't know how many of you know Bourbon. This was IG. This was the first version of Instagram. Now, the guy that launched it, the founder, his name escapes me. But when it was launched, there was a check-in app. Like when you go for an event, you check in and then you take pictures while you're at the event. And he found out that nobody was interested in the check-in part. Everybody was interested in the photographs. And that is how Instagram pivoted. Okay? Now, a lot of times, our metrics, data, engagement with customers is telling us it's time to pivot, but we are not really listening. We are insisting on what we want to be able to achieve with our product. So what is the difference between pivoting and continuous PMF? It's very important, right? When you are doing continuous PMF, it's an ongoing process. You've gotten some level of product market fit, some level. People are using your product, they are liking it. You're refining features, messaging, pricing based on user feedback. You're focused over depth. You're trying to, the existing customers you have, you're trying to serve them better. And then, for example, for product people, you're improving onboarding experience, you're reducing churn, all of those kind of things. So you're fine-tuning a working engine. This is continuous PMF, right? Pivoting is different. It is a fundamental change to your product, your business model, your customer segment, or the problem being solved, usually because PMF has not been achieved. So there's a lot of reflection you have to do about your product, your business, your go-to-market, because you have to know when you should pivot, okay? So this happens when current assumptions are not working. There's no traction, high churn, wrong audience. You keep on looking for people to pay you money. At a point, you start begging, please, so I can feed my family. And then it may involve changing your core product, your unique value proposition, your target user, right? It's a change in direction, not just an improvement. You're actually changing, you're pivoting entirely, okay? And remember what is said here. The pivot might be your product, it might be your business model, it might be your customer segment. Sometimes you say, whoa, this $2,000, they say I should bring down. I'm not going to bring it down. I believe I'm operating in the wrong user segment. I'm going to keep it at 2,000. I'm changing my ideal customer profile. You're pivoting. Because that changing of your ideal customer profile, you may find that those customers don't like spending time on onboarding or password resets. You notice there's some apps you go to now that you don't need to actually change your password to get in. If you've forgotten your password, they'll send you a PIN to your email and all of that. It might be because your user segment doesn't want to spend time on onboarding, right? And then you're turning the ship towards a new island because the one you're headed for doesn't exist. That's very funny, yeah? And that's what happens with PMF. You're going towards something that doesn't exist. So you have to, that is why the daily data metrics, some sort, is very important. Yeah? Smart pivots are based on data, not gut feeling. Please, if you feel you need to pivot, what is the information you need to justify the pivot? So is it that, let's see, for example, this point you raised about customers not paying. maybe we find if we change our business model, the paying doesn't improve. So it means you go back to your own model. Do you see what I'm saying? You've pivoted your business, your business model. You've pivoted your business model, but you haven't pivoted the whole business. It's just that aspect, right? So it's good when you are using data to say that out of my 100 customers, 60% are always late on invoices. What do we need to do to improve that? Maybe we need to change our business model, and instead of saying payments after delivery, we do at least 40% that covers the cost of business, and then the balance is staggered. You try something else. You're pivoting your business model, and we're seeing if it works. But you don't pivot it because you feel that most of your customers don't pay on time. Is that you see most of them don't pay on time. And how do you see that? You're looking at data, right? So that is very important. You may find that customers order from you once and never order again, never come back. So I'm very happy most of us have sticky customers, right? So these are indicators that you can look at in some data points. High churn despite early traction. This happened with a fintech that's trying to come into Nigeria, and we're supporting them with their GTM. I personally don't agree with their business model, but you know some founders, he believes that that vision was given to him by God. So he's experiencing high churn, very high churn, concerning high churn. And I actually feel it is a product pivot that is needed. I don't think it's a business model, but this is a clear indicator. If you're getting customers and they're not staying, they're using your product in unexpected ways. This one, I really like it because I don't know how many of you know OnlyFans, right? Yeah? No, not that you go to OnlyFans, though. Please, oh. Yeah. No, we don't go. Please. That's not what I'm trying to say. But like from a business perspective, OnlyFans was not set up to be what it is today. It's people started using it in unexpected ways, right? Sorry? As in, the human mind is incredible, right? And actually, those kind of products are very concerning for our society, but I don't want to go into that whole gist. But the whole idea is that they didn't build it for what it's being used for now. So then you may decide to pivot because of that. Sales cycle, dragging, you're calling the customer, you're following up, every day. Oh, guy, have you seen my P? You have traction, but the wrong customers are using your product. This happens a lot with freemium models, where you offer some part of your product for free, expecting a percentage to be paid. Yeah? And then you find out the people that are using the product can't even pay for the premium service. So really, you may need to pivot a bit. And then, please go ahead. Who asked the question? Oh, yes, sir.
Landlords instead of agents.
Okay.
To connect directly for streamlined communication, to save money and time when searching, and of course to earn money when renting. So we have two sides of the marketplace. We have the renters and we have the landlords.
Yeah.
Okay. So day in, day out, the renters will always reach out to us that we are not getting any, we are not seeing any apartment or property or rental property on your platform. You need to do something about this. Okay, without doing any form of advertising or marketing. Okay? So we realize that there's a need for you to chase after the landlords, which are the supply side. Okay, and we know that coming from the industry, from the real estate industry, we know that we are presently in the landlord market. Right? So whenever we reach out to the landlord, we tend to get them and we get them into the landlord community. Okay, so the thing is, we want the landlord to list their properties on our platform. Themselves, and they are so good at, they are so much interested in it that that's our unique selling point is we give them the ability for them to earn extra money aside their regular property or rental fee, right? They were like, how do you do this? How do you do this?
Yes.
I was like, that is part of our intellectual property protection, right? It's a trade secret for us.
Okay.
Right? But you are not listening. What do we do? So I spoke to them, that was just 7 days ago, right? I asked them an open-ended question. What is that thing that is making you not listing your property on our platform? And there was a similar response.
There
was a similar pattern in their response, which was, I don't have the time to take pictures of my properties.
Yes.
I'll be like,
So I would advise you go and read about Airbnb, the founders, how they got their first listings. For these kind of platforms, you're going to do a lot of the admin work in the beginning by yourself. It's just a true story. In fact, the Airbnb founders used to sleep in the Airbnbs to give reviews. Yeah, so you have to be ready for it too. It's these platforms, you have to put in some offline interventions for education. Identify 5 that have a lot of properties and then get them on the platform, support them, do case studies. It's a lot of offline, non-tech enabled engagement. So most times I would focus, for now, where you're trying to do adoption of this customer segment, which is the owners, I would advise you don't spend so much time on the technology. Make sure the tech is working, like people can find, list, all of that, but then work with these owners, because you are in a saturated market, actually, right? It's a very saturated market. So you have to differentiate yourself with them. They're earning more money. I mean, if somebody leases it, they can only lease the property once. It's not like they can lease it 15 times. So wherever they lease it, they're going to make money. You understand? So I don't think that should be your unique value proposition. There must be something stronger, but you're going to have to do it offline. I apologize. But read, because when people put tech in their business, they think tech takes care of, no. There's some businesses, I don't know if you remember when Konga came into market, and Jumia, they were actually calling vendors. They were doing vendor education. They were helping you put their products on their platform. They were helping you when you have an order, they will call you. There was a lot of offline work. It's now that their vendors and their merchants are very used to their platform, and people know they can make sales on Jumia and Konga, that they don't need to do that. Yeah.
But that, I think that is fine. But for some of these landlords, some of them are not in Lagos, right? And some of them will even be the one to reach out to me that,
yeah. So we use coppers.
I don't get time.
No. What we do is exactly what Chowdeck did. So what Chowdeck did is that they own the logistics, right? So they empower people. You get a job. Am I correct? You put on your Chowdeck t-shirt, you get the order on your phone, and you go and pick up. Just find some young people. It could be secondary school students. It could be university students. I want to earn a very little extra amount of money. And you say, can you be my point person? Try and get like 5-6 landlords in the same area. So if it's Ibadan that's renting, go and look for 1 or 2 people that can go and take the pictures there. Give them a little data allowance. And then there are ways around this. But stop thinking tech at this point. I'm telling you the truth. Because you're going to have to do a lot of offline work, yeah, to get them on so that people can start leasing. And then once they lease or rent, now get your case studies, get quotes from them, how easy it was, how amazing it was, and then use that.
So down the form of, because market research is continuous,
yes,
right, and it's iterative. So while I was doing those sorts of market research, myself and my co-founder, right, we realized that Baba Sikira, who is living in Egbeda, does not practically knows how to use our platform. But one Mr. David living in Ikeja knows how to use it. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, we realized that Mr. David is a BSc degree holder, okay, and he's 59 years old, but Baba Sikira is just a Form 4 graduate, right? So at that point in time, I was like, okay, well, there's a kind of like literacy gap here. So how do we solve this issue? So that was when we came up with a community ambassadors program. We call them App Chance. Okay, coming from our name, App Connect. We call them App Chance. And these App Chance are local ambassadors that serve as intermediary between App Connect and semi-literate landlords in the community, right? So what did they do? They help these semi-literate landlords onboard their properties on our platform. But we are having issues with this App Chance. Whenever I have a session with them or we talk to them, or some of them will just come, they'll be like, whenever they approach landlords, the landlords does not like, they don't want to do this. They're like, they don't want to do this. And I'll be like, maybe whenever you talk to them, you might want to share the unique selling point to them or what benefited them the most.
So just because of time, what I would sincerely advise is if you can do interviews with the landlords themselves, because if they're saying they don't know how to use it, would it make better sense to use USSD for them? They use SMS now. they text. Yeah, I mean, would that be a good option for them to use that? Like, if you've built a platform and the primary users are struggling to use it, we have to not try and force them to use it, because it sounds like, I don't know if I'm correct, but it sounds like you are trying to find a way for them to use it, and you've put something in place that can take that burden off them. But even when you put it in place, that still didn't work. So we need to think a little bit deeper about your customer acquisition strategy. And then if the product even fits, because another point is, what are your revenue targets and goals? Because instead of going for a Baba Shikarat, we may decide that there are up and coming landlords that own Airbnbs in VI, Ikeja, Bagada, and those are the ones we're going to target first. Remember what we said, what we said about your customer user base. It might be to shift. I almost get the sense you're trying I almost get the sense that there isn't enough consideration being made for the feedback you're getting. So maybe over lunch, let's look through some of this feedback you're getting and understand whether we need to pivot or whether we need to change model or change approach. Okay? Yeah. Because product market fit, if it's not coming, it means that there's a problem with the product. Yeah, somehow. Yeah? You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. From his question, I realized that there could have been a problem that I didn't see from when I was. So it's also a product market fit problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that how do you pivot when you know that, okay, there's a product, right? You built a product for people. And this set of people, like you said, are people that do not see the future. Yeah, it's a tech thing. You have seen the future. You're trying to introduce them to this future, and they want to stay in the past. They want to stay in the manual form of it. And we're not going to push, like you said, we're not going to force them to do it, right? But how do you make them see that future, that this is what you need to do? This is what's going to happen in the next 2 years, and you have to be here in the next 2 years already. Like, if you get my point.
Sorry?
Exactly, like you are seeing it.
If they want to go on the journey. That what I'm hearing is that they don't want to go on the journey. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody that wants to go on the journey? Is it everybody that doesn't want to go on the journey?
But this is your market now. This is like you have to think about the money too now. So are you going to maybe mellow down?
Customers are using your product.
We have like a grid site in a village in Nigeria, and most of our customers, like you also said, are illiterate, sort of. Okay, and we have a representative that handles them. Okay, and they always complain of, oh, we don't know how to use. We have a solar grid where we issue meters to them, and I've had serious issues with them because, oh, we don't know how to on the breaker. There's light on the meter on the pole. The pole is not entering the house, you know. And I'm looking at my dashboard and I'm seeing there's money on your meter. There's power on the meter. All you need to do is probably restart and then you use it. And then they're like, no, it's not working. It's not on. We will lie to you, you know, and it's a hassle. Even the representative we have, you know, because we put everybody through the training and they're supposed to be able to do it. Now, this representative had to turn off his own meter because everybody's like, oh, it's only you. It's because you're the one that they are talking to. It's only your meter that is on. We are paying money. You understand? And then we said, okay, what else can we do? They suggested by themselves, that we should just put everything on and then we charge them on a monthly basis, okay? And that could be like a pivoting, you understand? Which is not really feasible. That's the thing. These people, we know for a fact that if we put you on that kind of plan, you can't afford it. So they don't want to know that they can't afford it, and they don't want to know that just see it's as easy as switch off and.
It's very, but what is coming to my head right now, it's because of that switcher breaker kind of thing. Is it possible you make it like a light switch that they can easily, have access to? Like, I want to turn on the lights in my room.
It's actually an easy to use. It's like switch over from gen to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We're not listening to customer feedback. This is
Yeah.
No, we're not listening. After all we talked about.
Connection,
Because they understand switch. They understand light switch now. Yeah, they put in the way feedback. But you are resisting their feedback. Then somebody would now come and say that with the flick of the light switch, get your solar that, and they don't know that onto this instead. So this is a nice. Any other feedback? Let's discuss this because customer education is a big thing.
Of course.
But you can see the problems you have if you listen to them 100%, right? But people can change the hardware that suits them. I love the fact that they're giving you feedback. That means they're getting value for the product. I really like that too. It's amazing.
So another suggestion I would like to say is that it may cost you, but maybe you have to go there, like spend time with them, a week, a day, I don't know how, but you educate them very well. Every time you can even spend a week, someone in your company can spend a week, so that when things come, those things that they experience on a daily when you are not there, because it's not impossible that you'd carry your vehicle to the mechanic, he fixes it, and then you move. 2 days after, when he's not there, the thing will. But when he's there, everything works perfectly. So it's not something like that can happen, such that when you come 1 day, 2 day, nothing is happening, and then the third day that you go, that same day, it happens like that. So you can spend a week so that you can observe what they are observing, feel their pain, and then you explain to them how to go about it when they are in that position.
People are quite difficult in the sense that, okay, for instance, there was an issue that, yeah, we do. Yes, we do. I understand. Okay, what happened was the meters when they've exhausted their units, we recharge for them, and they're supposed to wait for it to reset. But maybe they'll call at night, sometimes past 9 p.m., sometimes to 10. You've done it, and then it's going to reset. This thing works with network, and this place you have to call 17 times before you can speak to somebody twice. Okay, so now it is network. Hold on, nobody will hold on. You go and call a local engineer and the thing has tamper-proof. Once a local engineer connects one screwdriver, the whole line will go off. And then they'll now call you again that please come back. And the place is very far. Yeah, now you can onboard him, but most of them are not. Doesn't have the technical know-how. The person that is trained is in town, but they won't wait to call that person down.
And you're having challenges with maintaining the products. It's either going to frustrate you and you can't continue, or competition is going to come and say, these are the problems they're having, let's solve them. So we need to figure out what's the most pressing thing that would make the most difference. Don't have to be all of the suggestions. They're both suggestions in the room. You can think it through. Onboard local engineers, give them an opportunity to work for a company, do a whole program for them. Those kind of programs, people like Mastercard Foundation fund it, where you're creating skill. You know that. So it actually is a great CSR arm or a capacity building arm of your company. Second thing is there a way we can simplify the hardware? Like you said, they switch. So it's just easier for them. Let it be in a format they understand, And then the third thing is the feedback they're giving, let's use it, to make the product better. So maybe, I don't know if there are any other suggestions in the group, because when your product is
with people that need not what is that need education. Customer education is very challenging, you can hear. It's very challenging. But we need to either figure out is our product too early. And it doesn't sound like any of the products to move are too early. So how do we educate that in a way? Right? Because now if you do the switch and it solves the problem, it means your future product will have the switch. And you can actually use that as a youth unit, as a flip on the switch. Because even me, I don't watch the solar house, I don't understand. They'll say, put this one, this, And I think I went to this, but not everybody that I've seen that understands it does it. Totally. I said I don't touch it. I don't understand it. Wait. How many people do you want to take that? Well, this guy that's a engineer, local engineer, trainer. He trained the trainer.
I don't know how the breaker actually works, but is it possible that you can do like a remote restart for them? Something more like a new feature. You do the restart from your own end instead of having them to go switch the breakers. And I think that would actually work as well. So another thing is you can actually identify the good network there, and if it's something that they have to pay extra for network, maybe you have to do like data or something. So if you identify the network, you can actually make them pay for that extra service or something.
That's fine. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to our field. I don't know what I got planned out the office. Let's check. I think you have so the enough like the basic actions does not around. And today's the day you can meet me there. Right, tomorrow this week like 30 likes it. If great. Welcome to Oracle and we're glad to have you for 1 week. Just like I explained to my next, we are hoping to have more of this in our office. You'll believe that service really good. So tomorrow I'm going to be here more about our more weekly rules. So at least we can give us freebies to people like you. You are being for our friends. No question. Thank you. What just enjoy yourself and you ask for some people ask it and if I ever need some support throughout of the clean. Thank you so much for playing. Oh, it wasn't too stressful for me upstairs.
It's not exciting.
Was it difficult for me upstairs? Maybe you have no ID card. So thanks for calling and enjoy yourself. And everyone there. But thank you so much.
And after this, I guess that's
Not their boss.
was that on the block? Or is still practicing order testing up all this? That's what it means. I
didn't take somebody.
You know that I know that on the Jackson model I can spell.